Vote for today?
I voted for a guy named Trump. It was a very secure vote, much more secure than when you send in a ballot, I can tell you that. Everything was perfect, very strict, right by the rules. When you send in your ballot, could never be like that, could never be secure like that.
It's critical that we make decisions right now about what voting will look like in the fall.
We don't know what the course of the coronavirus pandemic is going to be in November. We have no choice but to make voting by mail available to everybody who wants to.
The mail ballots are corrupt, in my opinion.
There's very little voter fraud. This is not really what the fight is about.
Every state already has some form of voting by mail, and we know that states out west, that is the primary method. It's a proven model.
Everybody who's studied it has concluded that it doesn't benefit one party over another, that there's minimal security risks. It's only recently that President Trump has suddenly declared that this is a grave threat.
For just the presidential election, we would do about 5 million mail ballots. This year, we're probably going to print and mail close to 15 to 20 million. Well, we knew this year would be big, and then with the COVID pandemic, we reached out to our vendor to order more machinery to allow us to mail more mail packets to voters. We knew there would be the concern about in-person voting, and so we wanted to have the capacity to handle more of that volume. Even with the volume that we have the capability of doing this fall, it'll work out to about 10% of the registered voters we could process.
As we look now to voting under the circumstances of COVID, we're going to have folks that are voting by mail who might be experienced voters in general, but have never used this method before. One of the key things election departments and other folks doing civic engagement are going to have to work on is demystifying the mechanics of how vote by mail works, helping folks understand how they can effectively request a ballot, what type of information needs to be filled out on an envelope when you return it. For example, making sure if you're in a state that requires a signature that does signature verification, that you include that. And then making sure that voters understand how to return a ballot, what their options are. One of the most critical things election departments need right now is the funding to be able to effectively ramp up their processes and procedures. One of the things that we can expect as we have this huge influx in voting by mail is that the counting process is going to take longer. It might mean that in places where we're used to having preliminary election results on election night, that we might not have election results immediately. That's not going to be a result of a breakdown in the process. I think it's just going to be a reality of what it's going to take to count this many mail ballots. But ultimately, this is all in the spirit of making sure that folks are able to cast a ballot safely while not having to compromise their right to vote.